wanted to say that we have suffered some attrition in our list. It's to be expected. The world always goes after poets. But Lawson Anata, David St. John, and Brian Turner were unable to attend because there are a fairly long list of speakers. We decided not to have introductions to each speaker, but we have bios of the speakers on pages 6 to 8 in your hymnal. Peter Everwine and I will be bookends, and then everybody else will come up alphabetically. And since 3 speakers couldn't make it, Chris Buckley, after his presentation, is going to read a poem of Phil's. In the summer of 1966, as I was preparing to graduate, Lily Tomlin, from the writer's workshop at the University of Iowa, I spent many desultory hours in the placement office reading the ads for available teaching positions. Typically, these were jobs teaching 4 or 5 sections of freshman comp at places like Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania, or Alamosa, Colorado, on the high plains down by the Oklahoma border, often the coldest place in America. Then one day, lo and behold, indeed, there was an ad from a place called Fresno State, and they were actually seeking a poet. I only later found out that Philip Levine and Peter Everwine had become among the most beloved teachers in the department, so why not take a shot at another poet? 3 poets in a department of between 15 to 20 faculty just couldn't have happened elsewhere in academe. I applied immediately. I arrived in Fresno in September and met Phil and Fran. Phil offered to drive me around town to look for an apartment. He arrived at my motel in a Jaguar sedan on loan from Russ Leavenworth, the department chair, since Phil was awaiting delivery of a car he had ordered. Without video, I can't capture the joy Phil got out of driving that Jag. Suffice it to say that he cackled every time his foot hit the gas. As we zoomed and careened around Fresno, I wondered if Phil had gone off his meds and was in a manic phase. It didn't take me long to figure out that Phil wasn't manic. He was just having a hell of a lot more fun than the rest of us. Take tennis, for example. As a young man, he loved the sport, and he took it seriously enough to have taken lessons. He had developed a tidy game with good volleying and a serve that took a very hinky bounce and was difficult to return. His favorite part of the game by far, though, was trash talking. Man, was he good at trash talking. And he sometimes won points just because his opponent was doubled over in laughter and couldn't return a shot. On occasion, amid the hilarity, he would take a time out at the net to talk about a word. Does S-O-U-G-H rhyme with bow or buff? He used the word in that poem, suffing. I said the former, he said the latter. Since both are acceptable pronunciations, that match was the only time I played him to a draw. Laughter and curiosity. Everyone who knew Phil knew how much those 2 things were a part of him. But everything that interested him, he pursued with a passionate intensity. If he had been a poker player, he would have been all in with every hand. That strategy doesn't work in poker, but it works very well in life itself. Phil, as a writer, worked harder than anyone else I knew, but he enjoyed everything he did more fully than anyone else I knew. A good meal was like a sacrament to him. Probably the word I heard him use most often was fantastic. The word could be applied to a bottle of wine, a poem, a jazz solo, whatever. It seems like a humble and shop-worn word, especially now that Donald Trump thinks it applies to absolutely everything. But Phil used it in the old sense of the word. Something that was fantastic was beyond the facts or beyond reality. The great poet Theodore Roethke wrote, "I come once more to proclaim a condition of joy." Phil, too, conveyed a condition of joy because he approached life as something marvelous and beyond the facts, beyond reality. In fact, he took from life even more than it offered. His appetite for living whetted the appetites of everyone around him, and their lives became richer as a result. The New York Times critic Dwight Garner called Phil a moral comedian, which seems perfectly apt. Here's what I miss terribly. A group of friends not averse to the fruits of the vine, gathered around a dinner with the moral comedian at the head of the table. All of us laughing our heinies off. I tell you, that was fantastic.